Danielle Weil, the podcast host of the newest podcast that I love, Market Like a Parent. I'm an aunt, not a parent, but when I have situations come up with my nephews, I can relate to what she's talking about. So, welcome,
So,
Danielle.
thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. The whole idea of market like a parent, I understand your style of marketing is a lot different from what everybody usually experiences because you're living in Israel and in something that's called a kibbutz. Did I say that right?
Kibbutz. Yes.
Kibbutz. How do you spell
Kibitz
that?
is to chit chat. Kibbutz
Okay.
is a semi-socialist collective community.
Oh, interesting. Kibbutz. And I know you've told me that one of the things you have to back up as a marketer and as a parent is watching others lead where you thought you should be. For example, someone telling your child what to do or not do.
hmm That is what I talk about in one of the episodes about allo parents. And it's one of the things that I think is a little bit unique about where we are in the society that I live in is that it's very family oriented and very community oriented. And there's a lot of communal parenting going on, basically. In other words, you feel so close to your neighbors that you can tell their kids what to do or take care of them or if they get hurt or whatever. We have a very close knit community. And it's something that I noticed in the authority that you have. Well, listen to the episode, but the authority essentially that we build as marketers and as business owners and the similarities between being able to use that authority with other people's kids and being able to use authority with your audience as well.
That makes 100% sense because if you have authority with the children, you know you have to have authority with the audience. But a lot of times people don't get that they have to build that authority. And just like I know as an aunt, when I'm around my niece and nephew, it happens where my nephew has to tell them, you need to listen to Aunt Theresa. I have to build my authority with them. And
Right.
in those circumstances, my authority comes from somebody else. And just like marketing, your authority can come from somebody else. Like if you borrow it from someone else's position out there,
Right.
they have to learn to respect that person, right?
Right. They have to learn to respect not just the person, but I think it's also the societal expectations of who is an authority figure and who we listen to. And it's a lot of it is cultural.
Mm.
So in the episode, I explore sort of the cultural gap. I have siblings with kids who live in the States, right? Like I grew up in the US. And if someone came up and told my kids what to do on the playground, I would probably get really annoyed by that.
Oh, yeah.
Like who I would maybe even be a little freaked out by that. So it's all about the context, right? And this speaks to the power of warm relationships and that ability of your warm relationships in your community to transfer authority. And I talk about why it's so important as a marketer to have affiliate partners, have referral partners, be in community, be able to get in front of other people's audiences, kind of just like we're doing here, right? I'm not going to go tell your people to not, swing too high on the jungle gym. But we
Do
are
not
here to
spend that
talk
much
about,
money on ads.
right?
Right.
But
Right.
where I can, where I see, oh, something bad, there's danger, something bad is going to happen. Some kid gets hurt. It happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I was
Oh, no.
outside and someone else's kid fell down and hurt themselves. And I was the responsible adult around. And so I picked them up and I moved them over and called the parent and everything was fine.
Yes. And unless that child is used to having like, if they don't know you at all, they're going to have an unpleasant experience and kind of like peel back out of fear unless they're used to that sort of thing or you already have the relationship with them, which just like in marketing, unless you have the relationship with somebody, you don't run out the door and say, buy my shiny stuff. You have to build that relationship with them. Otherwise, you just instill fear in people and look a little zany, right? So your podcast, Market Like a Parent, what gave you the idea to put this together? Was it part of like the community that you built? I know we build communities when we're doing marketing. Was it just about your principles that guide you as a parent? Do they show up in your marketing and that inspired you?
So I have had the idea for this podcast. This podcast has been waiting about 3 years to be born. I actually first bought the domain name about 3 years ago, and
I
it's been
love it.
living in my head for much longer. My oldest kid is 15. My youngest is about to be 6. And so every time we would have a conversation or a situation where I would use my marketing skills, the phrase would sort of stick in my mind, oh, parent like a marketer. And I found myself using my marketing skills or framing the things that I was doing as a parent in terms of marketing. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could talk about that on a podcast? And it was meant to be one season, maybe become a book. I just wanted to get it out there. It's a little bit different from
Yeah,
what I normally talk about, which is launching programs and offers and copywriting and marketing. And bringing my experience as a parent into it is something that's a little bit new for me. And I was really excited to explore it. And I went looking, and there's nothing out there that I could find where people are
that's
talking about this. And
surprising.
I'm like, there's so many similarities. And I think there are so many lessons that we can learn, both how to be better parents and how to be better marketers from the similarities between them.
Well, I know sometimes I'll hear people say things like, you're constantly negotiating with your children. So it
Yeah.
makes sense to me that you would be marketing with your children also, because in order to negotiate, you are kind of like I said, framing something or positioning it in a way where the child is into the idea or concept, like brushing their teeth or putting their clothes on, or let's go, let's leave the house now at this time. So I could see where both concepts just overlay on top of one another and intertwine so well with one another.
The
It's
meta
I
skills of persuasion for humans in general, small humans, big humans, the meta skills of persuasion are the same. And so the ability to reframe, the ability to position something as options, the ability to negotiate, like you said, these are skills that we develop as parents. And if we're in marketing, we develop as marketers. And I think a lot of business owners who don't like marketing have experienced the uncomfortable, pushy version, perhaps, of
mm,
marketing. And what I would love people to realize, certainly through the podcast, is it's all just persuasion. And it's all things that we can do very naturally and that have a direct benefit for the people that we love. And if we can reframe it to say, oh, I am using marketing as persuasion because I care about my clients, because I care about my customers, and I want them to win.
right. Right. And the people that you draw to you are the ones that you like, know, and trust and want to be with and help and lift up. So it makes sense that if it's a natural persuasion method and not something where it's in your face marketing, salesy, it would not only be an easier effort on both parts, so the buyer and the seller, but also when you said natural, you really hit on an interesting part of the whole thing, because sometimes marketing doesn't feel natural to the people that are experiencing it. And then they do get pushed off. They do feel like they're offended or that it's not pleasant for them. And then the marketers are left wondering, well, why didn't it work? Why didn't my last sale work? Why didn't my marketing work? And if it wasn't natural, like you said, the meta concepts of persuasion, if it doesn't follow what's natural, it is going to fall on its face. I was told kids don't come with instruction manuals, you
They
know.
do not.
So I
Uh,
imagine a lot of what you do is intuitive and just, what makes sense, what's
a-
natural.
some of it is intuitive. Some of it is, okay, we're going to sort of draw on our experience up until this point of dealing with human beings to somehow negotiate and manage these small humans. And some of it is just like marketing, trial and error. And if you have a partner that is actively parenting as well, right along with you, we will often play off of each other. We had a situation yesterday where we had a kid walk in and ask something. It was very clear that I was going to be the bad cop and he was going to be the good cop. And we have just sort of fallen into that rhythm where I say, you really should be concerned and think about this. You need to tell us where you're going before you go to a friend's house. And then my husband comes in and he's like, yeah, but we're really glad that you went to go play with a friend. And so we play off of each other in in a really natural way. And so those are things that you pick up again through trial and error. What works? Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you end up with a hysterical child and you don't know what to do and you lose your temper and it doesn't end well. But then you apologize and you go and make it right. But it's a lot like marketing, and there's an episode about that too, where we talk about head bumps and A/B testing. In other words, how to approach making mistakes, both letting your kids make mistakes and making mistakes as a parent,
It was perfect as a
scientifically
parent.
approach testing and marketing.
Well, I love the trial and error of marketing as well as parenting. And I think the listeners can appreciate that you have that level of transparency. Errors come up, mistakes come up. But as a marketer, to have that kind of transparency, I think is very valuable. It shows that you really honor your clients and want them to do well.
Anyone who tells you that 100% of the things they test beat the control is lying to you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Being behind the scenes where you're running thousands of dollars a day in paid ads and you're running lots of traffic to a funnel, we would put out split tests sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. How many of them actually beat the control? You know this, maybe 20%.
Yeah.
If we're lucky, if we're doing it right. It's so
right.
80% of what you test is not gonna be the winner. The question becomes, how quickly can you test? And how quickly can you find the winners and double down on the winners and get results?
Yeah. Make them happen. Make them happen. Absolutely. I'm thinking, you've been doing marketing and copywriting for how many years now, Danielle?
20 years.
20 years. And your mind is so sharp with the marketing. And you've done launches. Like, how many gazillion of launches have you done?
I have written 16 7-figure launches and been behind the scenes for dozens of other 5- and 6-figure promotions.
Woohoo! Woohoo! If you have a launch that's coming up, Danielle Weil is your girl. She's your go-to person. She is you've got it going on there. The trial and error, the experience, what works, what doesn't work.
I think with launches specifically, people tend to get in our heads about it like, oh, it's this big thing. And what if it fails? And, what if it goes wrong? What if it doesn't work? I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot from people of like, I'm planning a launch and my secret fear is that nobody's going to buy. Nothing's going to happen. I'm going to put in all this work and nothing's going to, it's not so secret, right? It's really upfront. And if we flip the frame a little bit and say, okay, this launch is a way for me to test a hypothesis and get data faster. If you're launching organically to an audience, you could test by putting money towards paid ads, which is, your arena for sure. And that's another way to get data. But if you have an audience to launch to, then designing a promotion to test a hypothesis, okay, is this something that people are going to like? Will they resonate with this format? Will they resonate with this offer? The more you do it, the more you'll learn, just like anything else.
And when you do test it, you're better off testing it rather than just coming up with the product and throwing it out there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you test the hypothesis and don't think of it as a big, hairy launch, but what do people want? And
marketing is all a big experiment anyway.
When it comes to the parenting part of that, I know I watch parents tell their kids we're doing this because I said so. You know, I was recently at the zoo with my nephew and his family, and I heard somebody say that in response to a child. Why, mom? Because I said so. And I'm like, well, that's
Okay.
not natural persuasion.
Well, I think any parent at the end of their rope has done that when you just don't
Yeah.
have an answer or want to give them the answer or want to come up with an answer. Yes, it definitely goes against the always give a reason why, of which Robert Cialdini talks about in Influence, that it increases your compliance when you can give a reason why you need to do
Yes.
something. But
Yes, that word
that
because.
exactly, but that I'm tired and don't want to answer you right now, um, is I think a moment that every parent has experienced.
And I'm sure every entrepreneur has had a conversation about marketing and gone, I don't have any more answers.
Because I said, so, can't you just buy this thing because I said so?
Right. Because I said it's great. Can't you just buy this?
Just trust me.
Right. 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 It's the best deal of the day. Trust
Only
me.
it works that way.
And it does not. It is not natural persuasion. It does not work that way.
Although sometimes it does with a warm audience. So this is what's interesting. If you have people that know, like, and trust you already,
Sure.
and I did this recently, I did a mystery box promotion, and turns out a lot of other people did too this Black Friday.
Oh my
Mystery
gosh.
promotion said, hey, I've got this thing. Here's the price. You don't know what's in it. Do you want it? Will people buy that? The answer is yes, they will. If they trust that you are going to deliver value. So
Yes.
that because I said so, can actually work in certain conditions.
But the conditions have to be exact. It's all in
They have to be
context. It's all in
exactly.
context. Yes, yes. So we are talking about Market Like a Parent. This is Danielle Weil. She is the host of this wonderful podcast. She's not only a marketer times 20 years with copywriting and launches and sales pages and emails, fantastic marketer. She's also a mom and living in Israel in a kibbutz. Did I get it right?
Yeah, you got it.
Yay. And it's a semi-socialist community where other adults in the community also help to raise and take care of the children. So that's a totally different approach to parenting. But think outside of the box here for a minute. Where in your marketing do you feel like it's not natural, where maybe a community would be more helpful, or maybe if you had a different perspective on things, the marketing would shift a bit, and possibly looking at parenting and how the guiding principles of parenting and applying it to marketing. So, Danielle, tell us, if someone listens to one episode, which one should they listen to and why?
Oh, that is a good question. I really would start at the beginning. I would start at the beginning with tantrums and pain points.
I love it.
I think it sets the scene for what I want to do with the podcast. These episodes are all pretty short and sweet. They're between 10 and 20 minutes. So you can listen in a car ride. You can listen while you're taking your kids to school or while you're washing the dishes. Like, I really wanted to keep them short and sweet. But that one really introduces one, I think, something that any parent has experienced, which is your kid totally losing their shit.
And nobody's never had a client or boss like that.
And what it teaches us about how we relate to one of the first things we have to do as marketers and business owners, which is understand who our ideal clients are. So I think that's a great place to start. And it really sets the scene for what I want to do with the podcast. And from there, feel free to dive in.
I love it. I love it. And when they do dive in, what are they going to walk away with?
Each episode is really set up to explore a parenting concept and a marketing concept and what they have in common and what each one can teach the other. So you will actually walk away with some of my best parenting tips, if you know, for the small humans in your life, whether you're a parent or not, and concrete ways to look at your marketing differently, different approaches, different things that you might try, really actionable steps to take in your marketing as well.
Well, it sounds like you put a lot of thought into this. I love the idea that it's 10 to 20-minute long episodes. I know for me, I've tried to listen to podcasts sometimes if I'm cooking dinner at night. And if it's longer than 10 or 15 minutes, I am lost in space somewhere else. So that was a brilliant move on your part. So only 10 or 20 minutes. You can listen to it in the car. like you said, while you're washing the dishes, while you're doing that mindless stuff in the morning that, you're getting ready to go, get a new idea up and plant it in there. Yeah. So if your podcast could change one thing about how people do marketing, what would you like it to be?
That's a great question. And I think it's what we talked about in that I want people to understand that the skills that we draw on naturally, that you've sort of accumulated up until this point, to parent your kids, to negotiate, to sort of be in the world are very applicable to marketing in the right context and with the right perspective. And so you don't have to do marketing or put on marketing or be someone else in order to market your business. You just have to consciously activate the skills that you already have.
Oh, interesting. Activate the skills you already have and do it consciously.
And that is where I think there's a lesson in the podcast or maybe just a friendly reminder of the fundamentals and a new perspective on the fundamentals for people at every stage of business.
I agree, Danielle, because the episodes I've listened to, when you get back to fundamentals, that's when things work better.
The level that I want to talk about is more of a philosophical level. In other words, if we know how to reframe objections, that is
Yes.
a skill that is applicable at any level and at any stage of business, and it's iterative, right?
Yeah.
The objections that you get at an earlier stage when you're launching your products are maybe not the same objections you're going to get as the market changes, as conditions change, as your products evolve. And so there's constantly a process of reframing that and sharpening those skills and keeping them sharp.
I love how you're approaching this. The steps are in there, but they're positioned in a way where they can be used by the solopreneur, the small business person, the seven-figure business person. Tell us where we can listen to your podcast. Market Like a Parent is the podcast. Danielle Weil is the host. This unique podcast is going to show you how to market like a parent. Where can they listen in, Danielle?
And parent like a marketer. That's the other piece of it. So it's a little bit of both.
I
You
love it.
can listen at marketlikeaparent.podbean.com is the link where you can find all of the platforms. And you can also find the transcripts and links to the episode on my website, which is dwcopy.com.
So we've got marketlikeaparent.podbean.com.
And we'll put those links in the comments, presumably.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is a podcast, and you already have episodes out there so people can enjoy that right away. And how often do new episodes come out?
So we are dropping new episodes weekly on Tuesdays through the end of season 1. And I believe there will be a season 2 where we'll be bringing more interviews into the mix. So we will be talking to parents, we'll be talking to marketers, and we'll be exploring smart people's perspectives on this topic as well.
I love it. Market Like a Parent and Parent Like a Marketer. Danielle is the podcast host. Start with episode 1. marketlikeaparent.podbean.com. Danielle, thank you so much for spending time with me today. Do you have any last messages for our audience?
Oh, good question. Actually, I do. If you have ideas for episodes or topics that you want me to explore or synergies in parenting and marketing that come up for you, I would love to hear them. And I really am excited to sort of hear what people think and where it's landing and what it brings up for you. If you've got funny stories, would love to share. So feel free to share those with me.
Oh, nice. Contact Danielle. She's a sweetheart and very intelligent marketer. Listen to the podcast, marketlikeaparent.podbean.com. And Danielle, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you.